Danger, Will Robinson, danger! That was my robot. And this is my review for Season 1 of Lost in Space. If you watched it, what did you think? Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk for Season 1, Lost in Space from Netflix. Overall, I thought this show was actually pretty darn okay. I mean, it was really intense. It had a lot of great acting and a lot of great storylines that carried it through the whole season, and lots of really good episode storylines and strong characters. So a lot of that stuff was already just amazing. Now, like I said in my episode 1 spoiler talk, I am not familiar with the original Lost in Space series. I never watched it. And I saw the 1998 Lost in Space movie, and I think the last time I saw it was in 1998. So I haven't seen it since then. So it has been a long time since I've seen it. However, I did recognize some of the risks and some of the things that they did different in this show than they did in the Lost in Space movie and what I know of the Lost in Space TV series. Like the robot. The robot was an incredibly fascinating character to me throughout this entire season. Number one, because they just redid its entire origin. Instead of it being a robot built to just to be on that ship and protect the Robinson family, it's an alien that happened to be on the Resolute, the mothership carrying the other Jupiters, and it attacked them. And it attacked them because human beings took the core, of their technology to be able to do the warping stuff that they do to travel through space. And so that was kind of an incredibly interesting plot line. So this whole plot line of the Christmas star, this meteor that struck the Earth, you have these flashbacks, and the flashbacks were done well. They weren't overdone, and they were done just enough to fill in backstory so we know about their lives, and we get the story that we need to carry on the episode. So part of that backstory was the Christmas star, the meteor striking. And as soon as Maureen said, wow, this didn't act like a meteor. It just didn't do what meteors do. This feels weird. And so as soon as she started mentioning things like that, there's something different about it. And then it turns out, yeah, there is. It was like a crash of these robotic aliens or something, and they took some of their technology, and that's what they're using to get people off Earth and travel through space. And so now they came to the Resolute to reclaim back their technology, and it's what led to that whole attack that led to everything that happened this season. I thought that was an incredibly interesting plot line. But it gives depth to the robot. So the whole first half of the season, the first many episodes of the season, you don't know any of this. And so the robot is a mystery, but they attach you to the robot. I mean, it's a character whose only lines are, danger, Will Robinson, danger. And it has no face and wears no emotions on its sleeve. And yet, the friendship and bond that gets established between Will Robinson and this robot is incredible. And they connect you to it so well and so fast. So I was really impressed by the show's ability to connect me to that. And a lot of that is the actor playing Will Robinson. That kid was fantastic. He was very likable, and he made Will Robinson very likable, which is great because they need that. I mean, he's kind of the crux of this whole thing here, especially since the relationship between him and the robot. So I thought the robot was done really well, and they did such a good job connecting me to the character that when Dr. Smith, or June, who takes Dr. Smith's place, gets all manipulative and crazy, she even manipulates the robot. One day Will's gonna turn on you, then the only friend you're gonna have is me. And so when you have her working her witchcraft in all these scenarios, it's it angers me, but I'll get more to that in a second. And so then when the whole, Jupiter people and all the people that they've found the survivors, and they see that this robot exists, and they now know there's aliens out there, and there's all this suspicion, and Angela, whose husband was killed by the robot, or a robot on the Resolute, who sees this robot, and because of the manipulation of Dr. Smith, shows up with the gun to shoot the robot and creates all this crazy stuff, and because Will said that the robot can defend itself, and it almost killed her, and knocked out his dad. Oh my gosh, when Will led the robot up to a cliff and said, walk off, the tears in his eyes, the emotion, but my gosh, the robot. And one scene prior, the robot is playing Go Fish with them, and Penny's like, oh look, he's smiling. I mean, you can't really tell, but you can kind of see by the lights, oh, he's happy. And then just a few scenes later, Will's saying, walk off this cliff, and he's crying. The robot turns and looks at him, Again, no face and no expressions to be had, and yet you could just feel it. And then the robot walks off the cliff, committing suicide at the word of Will. I was kind of angry at how sad I was when that happened and the emotions I felt while that was happening. Number one, I was just ticked off at Will. I was ticked at Will. It's like, you snot-nosed brat kid, take a step back and think this crap through. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's how quickly I got attached to that. And that was, on the one hand, really a strong positive, but a negative, because sometimes some things in the show just made me really, really mad. Dr. Smith made me mad, which is good because that means the actress did an amazing job. It was a well-written character. It was a well-acted and well-performed character. It was amazing to see how manipulative she is. I mean, she's June, not Dr. Smith. She stole Dr. Smith's identity, got on his Jupiter, and has been killing people and manipulating people since. Maybe not killing, but manipulating people since. And just her need for self-preservation was incredible. Her callousness was incredible. And whenever she was on screen and whenever her mouth was moving, I wanted somebody to tie a rope around her ankles and shoot the Jupiter into space with her attached to it and just to fly into the cold darkness of space. And then I remember I'm a Christian and I need to love and I need to forgive, and it was just hard because whenever she was on screen, it's just such strong emotions. When Dr. Smith even manipulated the robot and got it resurrected and it was on her side, I was seeing red that entire time. Like, I couldn't believe how mad I was. It was predictable. I knew something emotional was going to happen, where Will and the robot would connect and this spell would be broken. Like, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. So that was incredibly predictable, and what I predicted would happen, happened. Like, the robot and Will had a connection, there was a conflict, it broke that conflict, and then, boom, it was nice again, and it sacrificed itself. So we haven't seen the end of the robot. The Robinson family was pretty cool. I thought all the actors were pretty good. Like I said, in episode 1, there was kind of a coldness over everything because of Maureen and John. Like, there's kind of a coldness in their marriage. So it's predictable. I mean, it's the Robinson family. That's like what the show is. So somehow things are going to get better for them, and it does. I think overall they do a good job with it. I mean, they get them trapped in confined spaces twice in this show. And it takes them getting trapped in confined spaces twice for them to finally talk and hash things out. The most intense one being when they're in their car and it sinks in the tar, which was a pretty good scene, and it was awesome to watch, like, John willing to give his life for Maureen, and so that the kids have their mom. So it was kind of cool to watch their relationship go from, like, ice cold to warm, and honestly, that did warm the show up. It took towards the end of the show. There was a while where that coldness that was between them was getting annoying because, on top of being incredibly angry at Dr. Smith, on top of, like, incredibly angry scenes where the robot kills itself, then you have to deal with the coldness between John and Maureen. Then you had Don. I liked the way his character was interpreted, but, like, him and Judy, that just felt weird. Like, I can get that there's supposed to be kind of a love thing there, but she just looked really young and he looked older. So it felt weird. Beyond that, like Penny, the whole Robinson family, like, Penny was awesome. I don't know, she was just fun the way she, drew their names on the cave, the handprint idea, the adventurous spirit that she had. So I always thought she was a fun character, and so, like, all the Robinson kids, the Robinson family, it was all really good. And they did a really good job getting your hopes up that they were going to get on the Resolute. But then you're like, no, the show's called Lost in Space. They're supposed to be lost in space. There's no way they can make it to the Resolute. And then the alien thing takes over the ship, and boom, they are warped into some weird, strange galaxy that is a symbol that, the robot drew earlier and said, danger. So it's bad, and it's a cliffhanger. And now they are truly lost in space. So season 1 was a really good build-up to give us an origin and create the Lost in Space that we know. I think in the end, I'm going to give season 1, I think I'll give it an A-. Because even though my wife and I got really mad at scenes and needed to take breaks and stuff like that, I look at that and I go, but that really does mean it engaged me, right? Like, I was really engaged. I was engaged enough that characters and scenarios really did make me mad. Even though I was able to predict things. I was able to predict the outcome of how it was going to happen, yet in a certain scene, I was still sucked in, and I was still able to be in that scene. So, I guess that's good. So, A-. If you watched this season, what did you think? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified the next time I drop a movie review, theological analysis, or ranking video, anything else I do here on this channel. Coming up here on Saturday, I got to join Cody Curtis and Zach Pope on their Sweet Films podcast to talk about Avengers. As we're getting up into Infinity War, we talk about all the Avengers movies and give our predictions and hopes and fears for Infinity War. It's an awesome podcast, and I was so honored they asked me to be a part of it. So that's coming up on Saturday, and you can definitely check that out. And can't wait for all of that. So I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.